And then to follow that, it is Gunther and AJ Styles going on second, where if AJ Styles loses, he will retire. And there's nothing more definitive than putting up your career in the Wingstop match of the night.
Sure.
Oh, hail. And we got Dan Engler, Rudy Charles as the referee, and out they come. This might be the most... do you think this is the hottest AJ has been in his 10 years in WWE these past couple of weeks? Like, I feel this past week was maybe the most over this guy has felt in terms of importance.
Maybe other than like his debut and maybe like that those first few months. I mean, you could maybe look at like his run as SmackDown champion as, you know, a pretty prominent one, but like being the center of attention, you can argue on the entire show ahead of.
I feel this match meant the most on this show, and I think I really feel this felt like the main event on the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Gunther works a headlock early on, and the crowd is just. They would have these spurts throughout the show where they'd just be up, they'd be dancing, they'd be singing. Just go. Did you want to talk a little bit about this bizarre stadium that feels like it's a bit of an optical illusion? Because if you were watching, like, the way it looks is that because of these like LED lights that they've got, it sometimes looks like there are not people in these spots. But I saw enough videos that there were definitely people in all of these, but I think it's very deceptive if you're just watching on screen. And the Intuit Dome in California is very much like this, where they have these lights. And that was the case on SmackDown and here. But like this place, if you saw a lot of the videos that were coming out of those that were actually in the stands, like it looked totally full, but it didn't always reflect that on the broadcast, where it was tough to actually see that there were people when these lights were on.
Yeah, I think it certainly like a hard cam side. I felt was, you could say, was pretty full, but I mean, I think our eyes are maybe conditioned to looking for those LED lights as signs of whether or not those seats are filled, and I don't think that's really reliable, because like people could be sitting down, you could still see those LED seats, but then other times there are sections of the crowd where like you can't see them. So it's kind of hard to be able to like even spot like empty seats, just, you know, with these shots just kind of moving by. But I mean, I thought you could see enough like, you know, full view shots throughout the night to be able to say that this was certainly fuller than SmackDown was.
Yeah. I think the number they gave on the broadcast was 18,000, whatever stock you want to put into that. Whereas tonight they were promoting this as like a sellout of like the 25,000 that this could hold.
I mean, sellout, I guess I don't know, but I also don't expect we'll have any.
I don't know if we're going to get a number for this one, at least a reliable one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They made a lot of money for this show. I think that's what you can bottom line. So there's a spot where AJ gets dumped onto the desk, and this appears to be the spot where he cut his forearm, and this looked like a nasty cut that he had to work pretty much the next 20 minutes with this cut on his forearm. Didn't affect the performance, but was there for most of it. He fights back after getting bullied by Gunther, hits a Ushigoroshi, but then it's that goddamn dinosaur dropkick that sends him into the corner, and a powerbomb hit by Gunther, but Styles knows he's got the calf crusher in his back pocket, which he applies. Gunther played great here because he knew this thing was kryptonite, and he needed to get to the rope and avoid this thing at all costs, playing off of the Raw match. And Styles would hit his own powerbomb, follows with a springboard 450, and then manages to get Gunther up for the Styles Clash, which Gunther kicks out of. And this crowd they were so invested in AJ winning this match. The phenomenal forearm gets caught, and Gunther goes for his first sleeper. And this is what AJ realizes is kryptonite if he gets caught in this thing. And he fights his way free, and they did the spot where Gunther kicks him low with the ref missing it into the powerbomb, which is how he won on Raw, but this time AJ kicks out. So Gunther annihilates him with chops, and this was weird because Gunther is just destroying this guy with chops in the corner. You could almost say it was like he was Shinya Hashimoto with the overhand chops in the corner. And Dan Engler stops Gunther so he can check on AJ. I was like, what is Gunther doing here that is illegal? He's not holding he doesn't have a hold applied at a count of 5. He's hitting him with blows. If you got to stop him, then the match should be over, right?
I'm sure there's some sort of like rule.
These are legal strikes.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Like maybe
It's just like,
thought,
well, hold on, what are you doing?
maybe he thought this was boxing for a second, and you can't just like pummel an opponent into a corner.
Well, he fights back. Another phenomenal forearm is caught, and he's put back into the sleeper. And AJ gets to his feet, and the crowd roars. And then Gunther just completely takes the air out of the balloon by pulling him back to the mat, mounts the back of AJ, and traps the arm. He's away from the rope, and AJ's arm goes down, and the bell is rung at 24 minutes and 5 seconds as Michael Cole announces that his career fades to black. That was a little Frankie Kazarian nod. And what they did here was, instead of just immediately playing the music, they did a shorter version of what they did when Brock pinned Taker, where it's just silence for the whole crowd to absorb the weight of this loss. And then Gunther's music plays. I thought it was awesome as AJ's career comes to a wing stop.
Very good. Yeah. I thought it was a beautiful match.
I thought this was great. I mean, for whatever you want to state about, like, I thought that this was the way to do it. Of like, if you want to go out, this was a dramatic way to do it. If you're AJ Styles, man, you caught lightning in a bottle these last couple of weeks where there was so much interest in this match, and you just went out in such a dramatic way that I really thought this was well done. This was my favorite thing on the show, was this match, because I just thought it was so simple, but it was to me will be the match that is most remembered from this show.
I thought it was like a great wrestling match that escalated into like a really good fight. You know, it was hard hitting. There was a bit of blood in there. I would say like of maybe like the great retirement matches of the past. I don't know if it like had the level of emotion that you know, maybe like I don't know, you could say like a Ric Flair retirement may have, but I appreciated the attempt at a more realistic presentation rather than having like an "I'm sorry, I love you" type of moment, you know, or like the John Cena smiling as he passes out type of theatrics, or taps out, you know, out of those retirement matches.
You imagine AJ's goofy grin as he goes to sleep.
Yeah, like I thought it was plenty dramatic, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't overly dramatic to the point where you feel like this is something being scripted. I mean, this felt like the ending of a realistic fight. Or as realistic as, you know, somebody like having a
this is like, if you are a combat sports fan, like in boxing or MMA, like this is typically how these types of fights, where it's like Ken Shamrock fighting Tito Ortiz, where it's like there was so much people just wanting Ken Shamrock to turn the clock back, but it's like you're fighting a guy who's in his prime, and these are the types of like the harsh realities of you know, the aging popular fighter that falls to the guy in his prime.
Yeah. There's no like even a cliche 3-arm lift.
I would have hated if they did the 3 arms. I really like that they just did the one here, because I understand the 3 arms. There's a certain dramatic flair to it, but man, it's cartoonish, and in this context, I think it would have hampered it a little for me if they.
It would have just kind of taken you out of it, because the man, you know, like I thought AJ did it wonderfully. He had the arm straight out, reaching for the rope, and then it just goes limp. And at that point, the referee doesn't need to check it 3 times. He knows the man is dying, okay? And he just lifted it once, called for the match. I thought it was like a wonderful way to actually end a career, like almost counter to maybe what you might expect out of these sort of retirement matches. So.
And then the two walked up the stage arm in arm. They sat down at the stage, and we faded to black.
If only, yes.
Let's just talk a little bit about the post match here, because AJ is choked unconscious. So when he wakes up, might have been the best acting of this man's entire career, because he conveys with his face, not his words, of like what happened. Like he's realizing in the moment what happened when he went out, as Engler is informing him, and he receives this standing ovation as Gunther is taken off, and then he goes to take his gloves off in the middle of the ring and pay homage to Riyadh season. But then no, and he puts the gloves back on. This whole crowd, I want to say like 75% of this crowd thought he was revoking his stipulation here by putting his gloves back on.
That's what I thought.
No, he instead puts the gloves on so he can give them his hand sign to all four corners before making the long walk to the back. I love this. It was so simple, but it was like this crowd, like this was, first of all, this crowd was awesome during this whole match. When he was in the sleeper and just starts hitting the thigh of Gunther, they roared. They were so invested in AJ winning, and then the post-match was excellent. But in all of this, the big winner was the TNA digital team that, as soon as this match ends, uploads the complete history of AJ Styles 3-hour video to YouTube. I mean, there is no one more on top of things than the TNA social team. Just amazing, just amazing. And yeah, I thought this was great. I really thought this was great. And yes, I think this is the end of AJ Styles.
Well, I think so too. And if you are, I guess at least wondering, I mean, he's certainly seeming to let this be feel like the final thing he's doing to his colleagues. And I think if you're expecting that this to be like just his WWE exit, it certainly doesn't seem to be what he's telling the people closest to him. So like, for whatever reason, like he chose to end on this particular day. Nakamura actually did spoil it for us after all.
That guy, dude, he would be like, if I was AJ, I wonder if that's
I'm honestly really glad he did that. And I think they should be too, because it just suddenly made this feel a bit more believable. Now, how would we have felt if like they just kind of went into this match and maybe we didn't have the Nakamura thing? Enough people probably would have still believed it, but making it feel a lot more realistic, that you essentially help them advertise this as AJ Styles' final match. What's still a little bit of a hint of like, possibly him surviving this. So I actually became a lot more engaged as a result, but I thought they provided something that like was on the one hand, like kind of understated, but also incredibly like realistic, like again, pro wrestling expectation is for this sort of thing to be drawn out, like we just saw with Cena, but to have it just kind of cut off in February, I kind of like the shock of it.
Do you see him showing up on like Raw or something? Do you see them doing like a farewell segment for him or something? Like certainly they'll do the Hall of Fame with him, but maybe they'll hold off on that. You know what? It actually ties in if he gets beat in Saudi Arabia and he goes into the Hall of Fame in Saudi Arabia next year.
Oh, okay. I guess it would fit. I mean, this is not necessarily somebody who's like made his name in Saudi Arabia.
He has now.
I would feel like people maybe in Georgia would love the opportunity to say goodbye to AJ Styles.
WrestleMania ain't going to Georgia, so
no, it's not. Yeah, I mean, whatever. Like he'll do the Hall of Fame, I'm sure at some point. Mm-hmm.
Maybe he'll just do it from home. He'll just get on his
Twitch, his son's Twitch.
Yeah,
maybe.
Are we gonna get the Twitch streams back from AJ? Maybe we'll get his true thoughts.
I hope so.
I said, dang it, Shin. What the hell are you keeping a diary for of all my personal thoughts?
Now begins the the podcast career of AJ Styles. Okay, the content creation career of AJ Styles is set to begin.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody wish me okay. Like this is the retirement of like a really instrumental voice that I like. It is actually me doing those voices. That's not AJ.
Oh hell no.
Oh, hey. February on the Post Wrestling Cafe, we continue our review of Season 2 of WWE Unreal, including a big look at Seth Rollins' fake injury, which culminated in his appearance at SummerSlam. We're going to be looking back at Shinya Hashimoto with a special career retrospective on Rewind Away, plus a review of Extreme Rules 2011, as John Cena announces to the WWE audience that Osama bin Laden has been compromised to a permanent end. We'll also take a look at New Beginning in Osaka, TNA No Surrender, and new members can take advantage of a 7-day free trial. Go to postwrestlingcafe.com and jump on board in February.